Good afternoon, ladies and gents. My name is Websta from Cape Conscious Media, and I'm alongside our producer, Mr. Nantal Hopley. And today we have a very, very, very important subject that we'd like to bring to all the people here, all our viewers, our million out there. Please make sure that you subscribe and that you do what you need to do and follow us, because this is a conversation that we need to continue. We've got two very important people with us today, and I'll allow them to actually mention who they are. And first person that I'd like to bring in is actually Miss Emma Oliver.
Thank you, Webster. It's great to be here. My name is Emma Oliver, and I'm a Zeekoevlei resident, and I've lived in the area for over 30 years. And it's good to be here.
Welcome, Emma. And then on the other side, we have Mr. Sidney Jacobs.
Hi, Webster. Thanks very much for inviting us. I live in the area as well, and I'm chairman of Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei, and we're very involved with the system and the environment all the time.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. And like I mentioned, it is a very important subject that we'll be bringing up. And there are a lot of questions that the people have. And obviously, hopefully, you'll be able to give us all those answers. We've had a little discussion before this, and I would like for just the problem, the question that is mainly on the people's minds is what is happening with this dredging that is now going to be a 2-year project. When will this be taking place? Has it started? And what is this dredging process all about? You can feel free, Emma or Sidney.
So the dredging, yes, is a new big process. The last dredging happened in 1983, and the reason for the dredging is the water quality in Zeekoevlei at the moment, which has really deteriorated significantly. But the main reason for the dredging is that back in 2021, there was a serious spill of sewage into Zeekoevlei that took place over 8 or 9 or 10 days, and the organisation that we are both part of, the Friends of Zeekoevlei and Rondevlei, took the city manager to court to say, listen, what the city has allowed to happen in the environment is basically against the law. And so there was a directive, and because the city admitted, yes, this sewage spill over this serious length of time was against the law, and this is remedial action. So the reason for the dredging is something that happened 4 years ago. So the dredging process itself, perhaps Sidney, you can talk about the actual process itself.
Yeah, no problem. Also remember, besides what happened in 2021, on a daily basis, based on all our canals that are here, the Little Lotus River and the Big Lotus River. Okay, those two canals bring in all our sludge. It brings in sewage, it brings in litter, it brings in dirt from all over. So that just compounds the issue all the time since 1983. Can you imagine what's sitting at the bottom of our vlei?
Yeah.
If you're a sailor or a boater and you have capsized your boat, which many of us do all the time, you will feel the bottom. As you land at the bottom of the vlei, there's nothing solid. It's all muck laying at the bottom. And that's part of what's happening. Okay?
Good.
So the dredging will get rid of most of that.
Okay, and I've read the articles as well where they said that they've got these little there's tubing that will be used for the dredging to take place, and they've got certain areas where it will be excavated or pushed out, and then what happens to that, the sediment that is brought out of the vlei, the sludge.
Yeah.
So basically, the dredger, I imagine, because I haven't seen it yet, is a huge, is like a big boat, and the boat has this long tube, and the tube is going down to the bottom to pipe the sludge and all the polluted mud and sludge and slurry and all of that out of the vlei. And they've needed to choose 2 specific areas, and one is in Stormy Bay, which is the side of Zeekoevlei that is closest to, if you like, closest to Muizenberg, closest to the sewage works, to the treatment works, and the other is what we call Home Bay, which is the area in front of the yacht club. So they've chosen those 2 areas for the pipe to go. So the pipe will be in each of those areas for almost a period of a year, and it's going to be piping the slurry 4 kilometers away all the way to the Cape Flats, to the ponds at the sewage works. So they're piping it almost as far as to the sea, and it's going to sit there in this. Do we call it a sediment pond?
Yeah.
They're going to sit there in this pond for maybe 10 years or something, and then it's going to have to be removed from there. But it's like pumping up or hoovering up basically what's at the bottom of the flay.
Okay. I've got a question. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Thanks for explaining that. But the sediment, does it settle there, or does it move in other areas of the flay as well? Because I'm thinking they obviously know what they're doing. So if they put it there, the sludge won't move, say to our side. So
no. Let me explain that. Okay, so part of the process of dredging was a survey done across the whole flay. Okay, this was done months ago. There was boats around there with fancy equipment, checking the depth all over and checking things. Okay, so the basic reason for doing Stormy Bay is if you think of any area that's got a deeper section, and the other area is up here somewhere, and the other area is deeper, what's going to happen to sludge or mud? There we go.
Yes.
So that answers your question as well. Okay. One of the main reasons as well to what Emma said, they're starting in Stormy Bay as well. By the way, I was there yesterday. Okay. The pipe's in, it's looking like it's very organized. It goes across to the land on the other side.
Yeah, we kind of saw a pic of that earlier.
So it's all in there. It's beautiful.
Starting, yeah.
So for people out there, just think of an industrial vacuum cleaner that runs off a huge floating engine. That's what it is. So they have done all these pinpoints. They know where the sludge is the deepest. They know where the bottom is the deepest. And that's what they're going to be doing. Yeah. Starting from the deep side, which is always in Stormy Bay. Okay? Those who have sailed there again will know the average depth there is about 3 meters. It's deep.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's where the main stuff will collect. Coming back to your question is, on the sides where we live, we expect the sludge to start sliding into the middle, which is logical from any other point.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the main reasons for those things.
It makes sense for me because every year they drain the flay a bit. So there's no sludge when they drain it really. So because it's actually, but there is obviously water left in the flay, but that's actually where the sludge is because that's the deeper side.
Amen.
Okay.
And that would be seeing from previous years. Then when the flay has been drained, then they would actually, it's almost like they would take that is scooped out and they would put it on the side of the. Is that going to be a similar process with the sludge that is being dredged now?
Yeah. The sludge will be piped across to where Emma said. There's some pans over there, and it's been prepared 4 or 5 weeks ago already. They built it up again. Okay. So just think about this. So they're going to take the slurry, send it over there through these pipes, and it's going to lay there. It'll then de-water. Man, it's a fancy term for drying out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then eventually that might even be used in agriculture. It could be used anywhere else.
That was what I was going to ask.
But it's going to be drying out there. The rest of the water that dries out will go for treatment back to the wastewater works process and then get pumped into the ocean like normal.
So in actual fact, that was a question that I was going to ask. It's like, what are the ecological advantages? Clearly there are ecological advantages to this. But now the other question is, clearly it's a big undertaking, Emma, and there's obviously a lot of funds, a lot of money that is going to cost. Where does this come from, and who puts the bill at the end of the day for said project?
Well, Zeekoevlei is managed by the City of Cape Town.
Yeah.
So it's the City of Cape Town that are footing the bill. And Zeekoevlei is part of the False Bay Nature Reserve. And the False Bay Nature Reserve was granted several years ago, 10 years ago, what they call Ramsar status. Now, Ramsar status is a special status designated by the UN as a special area, which is Zeekoevlei Rondevlei and the sewage work area, because we've got 20,000 birds in the area or more. And so we are talking about, we're living in an ecologically sensitive area and an area that has huge ecological value. But as we sit here at the moment, we're on the verge of what they call ecological systems failure, because the amount of, over the years, the amount and the build-up of sewage and litter and other things that are coming into Zeekoevlei from upstream is just too much. When I came to live in this area 30 years ago, there were 2.5 million people living in Cape Town. Now, 2025, there are more than 5 million people living in the city of Cape Town. Yeah. And what we're experiencing is systems failures in so many different areas. And perhaps, Sidney, you could... And that systems failure, one of which we're seeing is the quality of the water in the Vlei at the moment. And residents that live in this area know that the quality of the water in Zeekoevlei has never, ever been so bad.
Yeah.
I can attest to that, yeah. Definitely.
That's another thing, Sidney. We spoke earlier. Obviously, it was whilst we weren't busy filming or busy recording. But can you please mention what you've mentioned earlier about the bigger part of this whole Vlei and like something that I didn't know? I'm pretty sure that people would be quite interested. So please just fill us in.
Let me just touch on the dredging. Please understand that the dredging is only fixing a symptom. What are the causes? Not just the spill of 2021, okay? Let's talk about the causes. Every single day, daily living is bringing dirt, sewage and junk into this Vlei, okay? So let's forget about Zeekoevlei quickly. Just yesterday, I popped up to the canal called Big Lotus River, and it goes all the way to the airport. It goes through areas like Hanover Park, Philippi, Guguletu, okay? And Manenberg. And by the time it gets to us, it is completely filled with filth. It's completely filled with rubbish, okay? So we've got an organization that we belong to as well called the Zeekoevlei Catchment Area. It's chaired by one of our residents as well, Dr. Liz Day. And the function of that is to sit with the city and all other role players along this route. In other words, organizations like us. And we then have got to advise the city on where's all the issues, what can be done, how can we work together to stop the litter going into the river. Okay? And that's been done over the last couple of months since the formation of this group. And we see the successes. I mentioned to you earlier on that I took some university students out to those places yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay? I was pleasantly surprised. And Nova Park, one of our weirdest dumping areas next to the river coming down there, there was tons of dirt lying there. It's been cleaned up a couple of times. When we went there yesterday, that whole river was excavated. So it looks like they put a bobcat in there, the city itself, and they cleaned out all the years and years of junk. Okay? Now think about this. Those things were all on their way down to us. So again, let's not worry about Zeekoevlei at the moment. The causes are all upstream.
Yeah.
And that the city has shown the willingness to actually work together. If some of you have come close to Zeekoevlei, you will notice that we've got these, there's a fancy term for it, litter interceptors across the Vlei. It's called fences, man. Okay, it's litter fences.
I'm actually, to be honest with you, I was so happy when I saw that the first time, a couple of years ago.
That's been...
The first one just collapsed, remember?
Well done.
The first one collapsed, and then they put, like, I was impressed. I was like, nah, at least the city is doing something, you know. I can't just criticize them the whole time. You know?
So the new ones that are in there, which we were part of all the time, as the Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei, let me give you some facts so that we don't just talk about things in the air. There was rains on Saturday, you remember that? Eh?
Yeah.
Okay. People sent pictures to us, and I live just around the corner from it. Yesterday, our teams took out 141 bags of litter just out of Little Lotus River. Let that sink in. Little Lotus River. But the good news is that used to be over 300 bags.
Oh.
Yeah. And where does this litter come from? People dumping out of their cars. People paying homeless people to take their litter to the dump. And they walk away with the bin and they dump it in the river and they get paid $20.
100%.
Okay, that's what people do. People who clean yards and they're going to be taking the litter through to the dump, they come around the corner, they dump it over the bridge. These are facts. So it used to be over 300 bags. Yesterday we took out 141 bags. You notice I didn't say only 141 because it's still bad. But it's dropping. Why? Because just before rains, the city, their own people plus contractors, okay, we push them as well to go upstream and clean. before the rains.
Yeah.
And we make sure that happens. Okay? But man, there's just constant dirt coming in. So when you see that kid or grown-ups throwing Kentucky boxes out of the window, that's where it lands up in the rivers. Now the rain comes, washes it into stormwater, and it washes into there.
You know, I didn't want to go into, like I say, I try and steer clear of, because you've mentioned beforehand that like whatever group or whatever you guys are involved with, and it's not political, it's apolitical.
Absolutely.
But it all boils down to the people not having those little bins out there for them to throw their litter into and stuff like that. So it arises from somewhere. It's not an excuse, but I mean, if there was those, the structures were set up, then prevention would be better than cure at the end of the day. So then we wouldn't have that problem as big as it is.
I fully agree.
You're completely right, Webster. And in the stream or in the canal that's coming from the airport, there are informal settlements that have again exploded in terms of their size. And here near us in Grassy Park, here in Pumlani, that
Just
one,
around the corner.
the numbers of people that were now living on that piece of land have doubled, trebled, or whatever.
Yeah,
and there aren't the infrastructures there, and they don't have the regular waste collections and all of that stuff. So in that way, there are so many different players in this. You know, there's the urban waste management people who are dealing with how waste is managed in the city. There's what they call the catchment and stormwater river management people who are dealing with the pipes and the stormwater drains and all of those things. And then there's the solid waste people. There are lots of different city departments. And the good thing that Sidney has described is that, yes, over perhaps it's just the last year, we do have this body which is called the Zeekoevlei Catchment Forum. And the body is working collaboratively with all these different departments. And perhaps for the first time in maybe the last 6 months or a year, as people, Sidney and I, as people involved with the city, we can say, yes, there is a collaboration going on, and yes, the point that you raised, Webster, that there are people that don't have a litter bin, that they don't have a wheelie bin that they can put outside, that what's going on in where they live in the informal settlements is horrendous.
Yeah.
There's really no other word for it. I guess all we can say is there is now an awareness in the city of how horrendous it is.
And I mean,
there's an attempt to do something about it.
A lot of effort has been put for this dredging things. Again, I want to give them props.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question, man?
Sure.
So, a lot of people think that this is just it's a environmental thing, and we should focus more on the human aspect of it, right? But I differ. So I want to tell you guys a story. So my boat flooded, man, and I'm draining it with a pump, and then the pump water fell on my back, just here on my side, the back side, right? And I was just so busy for say about 3 hours, and I got a rash, man, right? Of the water. That's how bad the water is. So my question is, do you guys know that they're catching fish here now and then?
Yeah.
So they obviously sell that fish to human beings.
Yeah.
And
I've actually heard there's quite a market for it.
aren't they getting sick of it? Or eating the fish? What is your views on that?
I can give you fact, okay, because I live here. Okay, all these fishermen are fully aware that the fish are toxic.
Yeah.
They've been told about it. They've been fined. Law enforcement, the rangers have been there. As a matter of fact, on our way here now, I counted 6 of them again. And it's the usual 6. Don't get fooled by any of these things, okay? And they sell it to a lot of the foreigners that are in here.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I know where the market that
No, exactly where. That's not all. It even gets worse. They even sell it to 1 or 2 sushi bars up country. Okay, don't ask me the names. I obviously can't give it to you now. Okay, but that's been proven. I don't just talk. I only talk about facts. Okay, so these guys know it and they tell you straight. But uncle, it's all about our survival.
Yeah.
And it's not if those people are going to get sick. It's when they're going to get sick.
Yeah.
Because of the toxic levels of the fish. Because when these levels are in the fish body, it doesn't disappear. It just compounds. Okay, other animals can make it disappear, but fish can't. And they're fully aware of it.
And the toxins are lead and mercury.
There we go.
And we know that lead and mercury in the bodies is a disaster.
Yeah.
So it's all about
It's a health
economics.
disaster. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. Can I go back to an example of things that are being done? Okay. One of the things, I'm not going to mention the actual area, but in Nova Park where I told you all this litter was, okay, one of the issues after talking to the people there is, the people have got their homes in front, but they got backyard dwellers.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the one bin collected once a week, it's not enough.
Yes.
And that's how the other people make money. They come around and they offer to get rid of it for them.
Yeah.
And they get paid $20 a bin. And they go around the corner and they dump it next to the
Yes.
river. Next to an old age home. Okay, that's how we got to hear about it, because we were asked for help because of rats, dirt, smells, river being contaminated. So we went there, and obviously that's the problem. So the city was also taken there by our organization. We had we had directors there to go and try and sort it out, because that's all linked to us. Don't forget that. Eh? It all comes down here. Those are the areas they're now trialing twice a week to collect. Okay, so they want to get things fixed, but
Yes.
of course it's all linked to budget and all the normal stuff. Okay, so they are doing that. I know that in Dunoon right now, they're also collecting twice a week and not once a week, because that just
Okay.
goes into that river on that side.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are. The place where the guys are dumping in a Nova Park, and you'll notice I'm talking about practical stuff because that's what we want to see. We want to see what are you doing with the info
Yes.
you've given here. So the place where they were dumping, it's now in process. We actually want concrete around there. We want fences up around it, so the guys can continue dumping, but it will be collected twice a week, as an example. Okay.
Makes a lot of sense.
So that's what we're pushing.
Okay.
Now you might ask me. You commented earlier on there isn't enough places for people to dump things. Okay.
Yeah.
In some of our informal settlements, the city had placed skips. We arranged it as well, so it doesn't come into the river. So you have these huge skips in there. Man, the skip is halfway and people dump on the sides. And-
You see, that's another thing.
And these are facts, so don't tell me I'm sharing things or not.
Yeah.
So people dump on the sides. The final straw on that whole thing, where it was just removed, they found 1 or 2 dead bodies in it.
Oh, no.
Okay? These are
see.
facts, guys. So when we become emotional about things, I go, do you know what the facts are? I've been there. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay? And then all the skips were taken out because the city now gets the blame for putting that there. Okay?
Yeah.
And the dead bodies were found in it. It's hectic.
You know, at the end of the day, you can also do so much, and this is again where awareness programs and stuff like that come in, and you think that's going to help, because when you educate the man on the street, and you're hoping that something can be done, because obviously an educated mind will make a better decision. So basically that is also something that we need to look into. But now there's something else that you mentioned as well, that is that the people aren't as involved as they could be, and when someone like me comes with these questions, there are these little places that they can go to, and little on Facebook everybody sees, like you said, the group that is Grassy Park. So can you tell the people where they can go to and how they can be more involved, so that we as a community can have our say and can actually say or know what is going on. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to behave myself and not say that it's excuses, okay? But
Yeah.
it's excuses. Let me give you some. Let me give you some areas that we advertise all our stuff. We're the Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei. We often have talks down at the boat club. You guys all know where the boat club is, eh?
Yeah.
The Zeekoevlei Yacht Club. All those meetings, all those feedback sessions or talk are advertised on Proudly Grassy Park, which I'm part of. I've even got the admin guy, Bradley and Margot. They even posted for us. It gets shared in Pelican Park as well. And if you go on the Facebook page of the Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei, we do updates there all the time as well. Whether it's school cleanups, community cleanups, all those type of. I mean, in September we had a huge hyacinth cleanup. You live on the Vlei, you would have noticed there was hyacinth all over on the left-hand side here coming in. Well, we had the community out here with boats, walking, just helping all over, and we took out truckloads of it. Okay, so we share information out there. The response from areas like Pelican Park and Grassy Park, don't kill me for saying this, was bad.
Yeah.
Okay, and that disappoints me. And you'll notice on my post in Proudly Grassy Park, I asked people to attend. The night before it happens, we posted again. Man, some people's comments are great, it's positive, but hands-on action doesn't happen. And I understand we're busy. I understand we've got homes to look after and families to look at. I've come from there, so I'm aware of it.
We are busy and we've got homes to look after and salaries to earn and all of that kind of thing. But for me, it comes down to how much you're connected or not connected or with the environment. And if a lot of our lives are lived, in a sense, very separated from the environment, very separated from the birds, the fynbos, the water and water quality and all of those issues. And we haven't made the connection between the environment and our health, our own health, whether it's our emotional health and whether it's spending time in the environment is actually life-giving and healing and all of that, or whether it's just taking notice of the water that's coming out of the tap and the quality of it, or taking notice of the litter that's strewn across our grassy areas and all that kind of stuff. For me, it started with knowing that I am fully connected with the environment and I'm also fully connected with my neighbor, and we're all in this together, and it's kind of knowing that interconnection thing. I mean, in some ways, talking about interconnectedness is a cliche these days, but actually it's the reality of the world that we're living in at the moment, that we are completely interconnected. And so what's going on and the living conditions of people in Hanover Park or the living conditions of people in informal settlements are going to affect my living conditions.
Yeah.
And therefore I need to get involved, and I can get involved because even though my contribution might be small and might be telling somebody, hey, don't drop that knick-knack packet on the floor, put it in the bin, or deal with it properly.
Yeah.
I can make a contribution. And so organizations like the Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei are just one outlet for enabling people to get involved. There are lots of ways to get involved.
And we want to say thank you to you guys. I mean, seriously, I mean, if it's not for your Emma out there and your Sidney out there and more of the friends, then I mean, what would we be sitting with? We'd have a much bigger problem. So let us as a community, let us as a people, we need to get involved. We obviously need to get involved and not just complain about things, because that is what we love doing. Our people love to complain.
Especially me.
And yes, I'm one as well. And I'm quite critical of things because, you know what, I'm the taxpayer. I'm paying this, I'm paying that. So I'm expecting, but what am I doing at the end of the day? So we need to get involved, and hopefully, once again, you can just mention, like, the Proudly Grassy Park is here on Facebook. You're always posting there. What did you say? What is the other one?
Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei's got a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay? There's on WhatsApp, various groups that goes on.
Yeah.
Pelican Park here has got a group called On the Flay.
Yes,
okay?
On the
They
Flay,
get all our
that.
notices as well. And whoever else, we've got emails. Okay?
Yeah.
Go on our website and you'll see all the information there. More than welcome to.
Okay, so the website is?
Type in Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei, you'll get it.
Friends of Zeekoevlei Rondevlei.
Correct.
Okay. And we can get in contact with your Emma Oliver and with your Sidney Jacobs. You guys are always
Our
there.
names are on there. You'll find us.
Lovely. We want to say thank you to you guys, by the way, for coming in, because I want to mention this as well. That we're going to have a follow-up, and obviously...
I'm excited too.
Yes, I'm quite excited. I mean, when last was I on the water besides when I was here? So Sidney has kind of invited us to kind of see what is happening around here, because I feel that we also need to have a deeper understanding of what is going on, and we're actually seeing this. Sidney, where is it that you said you're going to be taking us, and where we'll be going around so that we can...
I'll tell you what, I did a tour yesterday with some some French university students that came over to study this. And I believe it's important that all of you understand that. So what we did is, we looked at Zeekoevlei as the basin of where everything's coming from. Yeah. Then we took them up the canals to all the various towns, areas, call it suburbs, where the actual dirt came from, to look at people's living conditions, because that affects it, okay? To look at the infrastructure. And we went through places like Philippi and Nova Park, Manenberg, okay? And they actually kept the windows down as well. They were fascinated by it. But the amount of filth that was laying on the sides. And our rivers are right there, okay? And then they go, oh, this is different to what we read in books.
Yeah.
So that's important to understand it. Again, I'm going to repeat, the dredging is important.
Yeah.
But that's just a symptom.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the causes we want to address. And that's what our organization is doing successfully with the catchment forum with the city. It's working. And I'll show you some of that so you can have a look at it.
So we'll be coming back, and we'll be picking up this conversation again.
You're welcome.
And hopefully we'll have some more solutions and a better understanding, obviously, of what is going on. So once again, Sidney.
I think personally I have a better understanding already, because as at least the Kuranta, whatever, where they talk about the dredging, I didn't really think, okay, the sediment does that. You know, that doesn't come to mind.
Yeah.
But once you have conversations like this, and then it clicks, oh, okay, that makes sense now to me. Okay, blah, blah,
That's
blah,
why
blah.
yours drain like that, because it's all going to the it's all going to the middle.
Yeah. And look, like for instance, I know that there's going to be, obviously, whatever we're going to say, there's going to be 1 or 2 or 20 people who are going to have something else to say and have this negative comment and whatever not. But we want you to comment. We want you to speak. We want you to come out and say something so that we can actually, we know where to come from and can actually sort out such little issues.
Dialogue is important.
Yes, and for instance, if there's anyone, like for instance, maybe our deputy mayor wants to come on the platform and come and explain and say what he knows, and if we can have Sidney and Emma, who's definitely going to be coming in again, then please feel free to contact us. It's Cape Conscious Media, and as you can hear, all the content that we have and the subjects that we have is important to not just me, and not just to Sidney, to Emma, or to Nanto, but to everybody. So Cape Conscious Media, feel free to contact us and subscribe. And thank you once again, Emma, Oliver, and thank you, Sidney Jacobs. But this is going to happen again.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay.
We're out.